What's up, everybody? It's your man Dame D, joined by, my man Big A, Sam Adams, Old Sarge Gaming. How we doing tonight, Sam?
Doing all right. Another glorious Monday and another week of football in the books.
Yeah, man.
Lots to talk about.
Yeah, lots to talk about. A lot of. I mean, we had a couple of OT games, man. We had some good stuff for transpire over the weekend, and some teams, are standing out a little bit more than others, and
Oh yeah.
I'm feeling good. Um, for once in a long time about uh my G men with being
hmm
with being competitive, and we'll get into that tonight. But we had some breaking news, I guess, if you will, not too long ago. Across town in New York, the other New York team. Uh, we just talking about fired. We just gonna go ahead and tell you pack your bags, go ahead and get up out of here, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange move. Haven't
hmm
I don't think it was expected. One, um,
No.
but strange move, and kind of looking back at it, is it the right move? Like, is this really the time for a team like the Jets to make this move? And I'm curious, with everything, your thoughts, being former A Rod, he was there in Green Bay, and now seeing what's transpired in New York. What's your take on that?
Uh, I don't think Sella should have got fired.
Mm.
If anything, they should have cut Nathaniel Hackett because his last name precedes him as far as like his offensive play calling out there. So I think that firing the head coach was pretty much like a scapegoat type move. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I totally disagree with it.
Mm.
And then you got to look at it like they built this team to compete this year
Right.
because they're like all or nothing right now when it comes to. I just want to say making the playoffs. You know,
Right.
are they going to be a Super Bowl contender? You know, that's still to be determined. To be determined, but at the same time, you look at it like they put all these pieces together. They went out on the offseason, got a couple of more weapons as far as uh was it I don't want to say Michael Robinson, could be Robinson,
No,
but
Michael
they
Williams. They got Michael
yeah,
Mike
Michael
Williams.
Williams as
Yeah.
far as like adding more pieces to the receiving core. And I mean the ones that you got, like they need to step up too. And
Yeah.
let's not forget the defense is still playing subpar, you
Yeah.
know. Offensive line still showing its woes as far as like you got to protect the asset, and the asset
Yeah.
is Aaron. So if
Hmm.
you're not doing that, you're not going to be in the game. So
Yeah.
you know, I'm not in agreement with it at all. And it's not like I mean, when you look back at that game, uh, the running backs wasn't even productive, but that's just because the O line was getting like straight demolished um
Right.
almost every series. So like I I totally disagree with it. So now you go to who you go to put the ball or who you go to put the coaching
Right.
in the hands of. Are we going to sit
Right.
here and have Nathaniel Hackett do it? Because like he hasn't showed his moxie anywhere.
Agreed.
So
Well,
yeah,
from what I read, what's his name? Olbrecht or whatever is supposed to be taking the reins right now.
okay,
He's all about locking arms and everybody getting together uh, to move forward. And I'm like you, it's strange and it's weird, but I don't know when you look back, just some of the dynamic between you know Rogers and Sailor, like they just never seem to be on the same page. And this
right,
even goes back to find him for going to Egypt or whatever, and just the transformation. And I have to be honest too, watching some of the games, like yeah, there's a lot there's a lot of great points that you covered,
yeah,
in your statement, but. Uh, a like Rogers is like let's just be like he doesn't look the same. I understand he's coming back from the
no,
Achilles and everything, but he just doesn't look sharp, And again, we talking about age. Age wins all the time.
hmm
And I'm just wondering, like, are we getting really like that reflection? Like, cause he still makes some plays. Like
right,
you said, when the offensive line keeps him clean, he still makes some plays. But then there are other times like he just doesn't seem like he's in sync with his offensive line, his receivers, and then
right,
I'll go one further, even with the play calling sometimes. Um they look I call it like my job, sometimes they're just predictable. So
Yeah.
I don't agree with the change, but I do also understand from being in sports and being around other athletes. Sometimes a coach's voice, that message, falls on deaf ears. Like dudes don't want to hear that no more.
Right.
You know. So
So I
I
say
mean,
a
I
couple of
don't.
things.
Mhm.
So the first thing, like I think about when Aaron was in Green Bay,
Okay.
and the off season came, he spent more time like he would fly his receivers out to Cali. They'll
Mhm.
have like summer practices and everything, getting the playbook down, getting um those routes down
Right.
packed. So when it came time for the season, they delivered. He hasn't been
Right.
doing any of that. He couldn't do it last year because, of course, he was injured and everything. Then
Right.
he got cleared this season, and he was just like, he. I don't want to call it that prima donna status, but that's pretty much how it is. Like, I'll
Right.
see you when the regular season start, and that's actually starting to show right now, as far as his performance and everything. So,
Right.
it's just a product of what you put out there. You know what I'm saying? You over here
Agree.
relax because you the big dog. Um, and now you want to get pissy over here at your doggone receivers because they don't have that telepathy going on when you want them to
Right.
slot in instead of going out, busting out that out route. But that's because you really don't know who you throwing it to per se, besides the
True.
practices.
True.
And now you're starting to get to know them because now we're in the
Yeah.
regular season and everything. And on top of that, like when that first injury that he got, when he rolled over, I was like, man, this looked too familiar because there was a number 4 that came
Yeah.
over there and landed, and that was pretty much like his coup de grace for the rest of the season. And
Right.
I don't know, something in me is telling me that this might be the last season that we see Aaron suit up as a Jets. And then it's kind of scary because like you're not even prepping for years to come. You don't invest
Right.
it in it now. So,
Right.
and I think with Sella being fired, like it's probably going to be like a sub 500 team that we're looking at now
See, and that
for the
was
rest
really
of the season.
that was my next question. Like, sometimes guys come together and they rally around each other
Yeah,
and really put in the work. But my fear really is like what you just said. I think it goes from and well, let's backtrack because right now the AFC East is really beat up, and that they're not out of
right.
it yet. New England.
Mhm.
Okay, well, we're just gonna go ahead and just skip over New England because that's not happening. The Tua situation in Miami, again, not a great situation, but you don't know
Mhm.
what's going to happen with that. So if you're looking at the Bills, and the Bills have had a couple of hiccups over the last couple of weeks,
Right.
they still have an opportunity. Uh, but again, though, now with this move, I'm like you, either it's gonna give them that push, or it's going to be even more of a demoralizing factor. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting on that side right now because I just haven't seen them really step up and really do anything with the Jets. So it's going to be interesting how they move forward, and what their plans are, to kind of keep this thing afloat. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting, to say the least. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh, it's funny, everybody was talking about Super Bowl, and then now it looks like we're just going bust with a flat tire.
I wasn't saying Super Bowl. I know that there was going to be some hope and everything, and I mean, they showed they shine, but at the same time, they showed those kinks in the armor too, and now those
Right.
are even more prevalent. So like I said last year, they had the same issue with doggone when you had Sam Darnold and
Yeah.
Zach Wilson underneath the helm, as far as like not being able to protect their quarterback. So that's the
Yeah.
same thing that they're going on now. And I mean, everybody's going to be gunning for Aaron because,
Yeah.
and I hate to say it like that, but like there's a defensive player out there, like I could be the guy that take him out. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? We don't need this 41-year-old floating around here, this young man's game. So I think that there's a lot of defenses out there that's trying to prove that point. So, and you
I
saw it,
agree.
like he was slow getting up. He
Mm-hmm.
was looking at people like, "Where's that stretcher at?"
You're
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like
Right.
somebody help me, like right
Help
now.
me. Right. I need somebody to help
Yeah,
me so I can help you.
yeah,
Yeah, it was one of
yeah.
those. It definitely was. I agree.
Mm,
Now a transition too, man. The NBA's back, right? So
yep.
for those of us who have teams in the NFL that may be struggling in some markets, maybe your favorite basketball team is back in. we really seen I guess the future, if you will, right now in LA, as they are, you know, rocking with LeBron and Bronny, and the Celtics are coming back for this repeat potential, and all the other teams in the league. My Knicks, the Mavs,
Hmm.
Philly. Uh, we're coming back to that, but watching LeBron and Bronny, like, uh, man, it's weird. One,
Hmm.
uh, and I don't know how much LeBron still has left in the tank. So I would encourage anybody, because I know I'm on that boat right now. I would love to get some tickets to a game to go see him in person, because don't know how much longer the King James train is going to run. But I have to be honest, when I look at Bronny, like, this is one of those, and I know people probably talked a lot about it over the summer, and I'm bringing it back. Like, that was like a courtesy pick, I think, because I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
like, he's not ready
No.
from what I've seen. He's just not ready at all.
Right. I mean, I agree
And
with it.
with
I don't have.
his
He's Giannis' little brother. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what's going on right now. And I mean, even when you look at the lineup, there was nothing major. I'm a Mavs fan, but this isn't me being biased. You're looking at
right.
every team that reloaded during the offseason. There was a lot of big transactions
Yeah.
that happened, and the
Yep.
Lakers didn't do anything. Not one
No.
thing besides pick up
Mm,
LeBron. Like, there's nothing significant that's going to impact them from their free agency. I mean,
right.
unless they're going to be a two-time midseason champion and throw that damn
Throw
banner
that
up.
in the
Oh
Nobody cares
man,
about that
yeah,
stupid
I
thing, man.
was just
I think
like,
that was like the worst thing the NBA did, man. Like, come
yeah.
on, bro. Who cares, bro? Like,
Look,
so
I
what? And then
I think
you're
the
playing for the
tournament
10th seed anyway.
I think the tournament is fun, but I think it's worse that they actually had like that celebration
A,
of dropping the banner.
a trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh
It's
my
trash, man.
word. And like you
It's
celebrated
trash.
it like we did it, but I'm just like, you have a whole doggone season of basketball to play. And it showed,
Yeah.
because what happened, like you said, they were fighting, they were in that bottom pit, going into the
Yep.
playoffs, and then you make the playoffs and you just get washed. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
going to be the same thing this year. Um, it's a wake up call to me for Bronny, because he's saying that he was built and made for this. However, sir, that
Right.
is incorrect. You are not made for
Yeah.
this, because you couldn't even keep up with third string players coming off the bench that'll
No.
probably be in the G League. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Come the
Right.
regular season, like, you can't even keep up with these cats. So, what make you think that you go to sit here and be able to guard Stephen Curry, or you go to New Orleans, and like all of a sudden you have to switch screen and now you're picking up Zion? Like, fam, come on,
Right.
like this.
Come on. Yeah, it's not happening.
Everybody gonna be looking at Bron like, get your son, like,
Right.
go,
Yeah. It
get
was
your
a couple of
son.
moments in the game, man, when they played, like, the other night, first time on the court in the actual game, even
Hmm.
though it's preseason.
Yeah,
And there were a
yeah,
couple of moments, man, like a couple of plays and things, like, the camera pans to LeBron, like, and you just, like, in your mind, you're wondering, like, what is he thinking as he's watching his son, like, come to the sideline or come to the bench after, a couple of bonehead plays, or, like you said, missing a switch, or not
yeah.
boxing out or not closing out. Like, it's got to be hard. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like, one to even play with your child.
Yeah, yeah. I think that switch hit
And
quick.
then, yeah, yeah.
I think like that moment that they were on the court together, you get those goosebumps and everything, and it's like,
Hmm.
I did it. I kept my promise. And then,
Right.
like, he's sitting down on the bench looking down the play, like, you know what I'm saying? Now we got to go back to the lab a little bit more.
Yeah,
Keep the
it's
uniform
a whole
on
lot
after the
more.
game.
It's a whole lot more, yeah. Because, don't even go to
Mhm.
don't go to the shower, bro. You coming right
No,
up here.
no, no,
You gonna
no.
jack up 200 more
Yeah,
shots, because what
yeah.
I've seen and what I witnessed is trash. And then flip side of that, like, so, like, the Celtics are coming back, man. They again seem to be primed and prepped, for another run. And I I watched Jason Tatum, in the Olympics, go from really being the guy going into the Olympics. There was a lot of talk about they were building a team around him, but then, you go from being, man, look, I don't even know how this happens. You prime time, and you NBA champ, to go and be like the
Mhm.
10th or 11th man on the bench. And I was telling
Right.
another partner at work, like, I said, man, this dude's probably got every every team like KD, Steph, LeBron, like he's probably got those games circled already on the calendar because I can only imagine what fury and what's that going to do to fuel him. When he goes
Right.
against these teams and he goes head up, and I think that makes Boston more dangerous this year because he seems to be a very low key guy. But
Yeah.
I think he's going to be dropping 50 on these dudes, man, just because he didn't get no shine in the Olympics, and
I mean,
if they bring, Mhm.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like I'm just looking into the mind of an athlete and a champion that
Yeah.
sometimes you need you're looking for like Michael Jordan, you're looking for those
Yeah.
pieces of motivation. So I think he's going to set the NBA ablaze this year, and I'm just curious, as to who's going to be able to stop the Celtics really outside of injury, and things like that moving forward.
That is a tough question because I mean, even when you look at it, like I don't even think they move that much.
Right,
So that could be a gift or a curse when you bring. At least they were able to bring the same players back that they had.
right,
Um, and I think as far as like the East, they will probably be the dominant ones and come out on top.
right.
So um, I mean, yeah, there's not really much. I'm trying to think of the Eastern Conference. I don't think anything was significant. I mean, besides well, Jaws in the West. Yeah. So they're just prepping for whoever's going to come out of the West Coast. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
have to
And the
agree.
West Coast is like heavily front loaded.
I
When
have
you
to
look
agree
at
with
it, you
that.
brought up a couple of teams as far as like the Mavs, the Suns, New Orleans, the
Hmm.
Grizzlies,
Yep.
Minnesota. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Oh yeah, Cat going to doggone New York. I
Yeah,
think that was
yeah.
a bonehead move trade because if anything, Gobert should have left that damn team, not Cat, because Cat was way more productive in the doggone playoffs than
Right.
doggone ice skating Gobert.
Go, Rudy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Even with that, like just looking at that trade, as a Knicks fan, for me, it's really just it's the same guy. To me, it's the
Yeah.
same. It's the same player, just 2 or 3 years younger. And Cat, he claims he's a better 3-point shooter and all of that. And I think
Yeah,
he's
but
not a
you a
center,
big man though. Like
right?
I
And that's
know,
what
and
I'm
that's the
saying.
sad part about it. That's the unfortunate. You are a 7-footer. I need you in that doggone paint, being
Right,
a dominant force, not out in the wing, because it's just going to take one of these small dudes to skirt by you, and then you go to be
right,
done. Or unless you get in front of another big man, let's say like Joker or somebody who has the post up and the perimeter shot. You know what
right,
I'm saying? You need to be two-way
right.
like that. I don't need you out in this doggone wing. That's why I got these 1 through 4s so they can shoot the doggone ball. Get your ass in the
Agreed.
doggone paint.
I agree, and that's what I think for the Knicks. I mean, on paper, it looks good. Um, for the fans, it looks good. But when we get into the playoffs and when it gets tight, I think we got the same player, just younger. And
Mhm.
the only
Yeah,
difference is really that really made, in my opinion, that made Minnesota go last year. They figured it out with Gobert and Cat. Putting Gobert in the post, and that allowed them some rim protection. And I'm hoping that from a Knicks standpoint, when Mitchell Robinson gets healthy, they move Cat to his natural 4 position and you put Mitchell down there. And if he could avoid getting injured,
yeah.
I think we would be competitive. But we have no bench. Uh Tibbs he's a veteran only type guy. We don't see
Mhm.
enough young talent from the Knicks, and every stop that he's a burnout coach. He burns out his
Yeah.
veterans. That's why these dudes are hurt. That's why
Mhm.
Brunson and all the guys they're hurt at the end of the year. So it's going to be interesting with the changes, like you said. But I mean, outside of the East, I mean, you're really just talking about Boston, in my opinion. Um, it's up for grabs. Knicks, 76ers. Who knows what Milwaukee's going to do if they can stay healthy? Indiana. It's really a flip for
Right.
two through five or whatever it is to whoever's going to avoid Boston in the second round, hopefully. But it's going to be interesting, yeah, man. But I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, just in case of my Giants go back to week one and and we look like that, I have another sport to watch. So
Gotcha. Okay.
it's gonna be interesting. And last thing before we actually get into tonight's conversation, I was just sitting around, man. I was just BSing and trying to figure out something. I just came across an article that was just talking about what we eat, and it's just heavy on this lab created. and lab created meats and all of these type of things. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm not a fan of eating something that was mixed up in a lab. And I've seen some things. I mean, well, I shouldn't say. I think we bought some meat, not realizing it was lab created, but
Hmm.
it just looks different. And then, like
Right.
when you wash it and you clean it, uh, it's real soggy and like I don't know about this, man, but this seems to be like with everything else in the world. They're and I don't want to say forcing it on you, but they're forcing it on you. Like you
Right.
really have no choice. And I look at the medical side, like, is this why so many people are, we've got all of these different type of cancers, all of these different type of, symptoms going on? Because there was a time you never
Right.
had, this much. And I'm gonna pass on the lab created, and I'm gonna put my stamp and my stick out there. Like, I think we need to stop this, man. We need to figure out a way to make food affordable and natural, for us
Right.
to continue to coexist. And yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm interested to hear.
I mean, the US has like the most lax like
Mm.
food
Right.
regulations when you look at
Mhm,
other countries and everything. So I'm not surprised by the move.
mhm.
With that being said, it's crazy how like when you're trying to eat healthy and you trying to stretch out your life a little bit longer. Things are
Yeah.
expensive, but it's the
Ooh,
processed
that
foods
part.
that you sit here and you can buy those on like pennies to the dollar. So I
Ain't that
agree
the
with
truth?
you. Like I think food as a whole need to be more affordable. Um, you shouldn't have to be rich in order to live a
Mm.
rich and healthy lifestyle. So I disagree
Right.
with it too. With that being said, I was in the army for like 25 years, so Lord knows
Mm.
what was in those MREs really that I had to eat or when I went
Right.
downrange. So, it's a whole guessing game when it comes to that. But if I could physically see it and I know it ain't right, I ain't messing with it either.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. That's a great point. You shouldn't have to be rich to afford a good meal. I love that, and we gonna pin it right there. We gonna move into this week, man. Had
Let's go.
some great contests, and I'm gonna start with you because you had a pretty good slate, a joints on yours, man. So wherever you want to start, whichever game you want to start with, man, go fire
Uh,
away.
I'm gonna start with Kirko Chains. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay.
And the Bucks and the Falcons. Because this game actually could have went either way. I was surprised
Okay.
at what happened. I was actually surprised that it went into overtime.
Yeah.
Tampa came out full force, and I was like, man, this is going to be a washout. But then doggone Kirk Cousins came over there and heard that swag surfing and was like, let me go ahead and get right with this. So, I mean, he threw for 477 yards. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man.
When you look on paper, Tampa Bay had the more well-rounded game as far
Mhm.
as like from their rushing and their doggone passing, but
Yep.
like it was an air assault that came from
Yeah,
Atlanta
man.
and everything. I was a little
Yeah.
bit disappointed that BJ Robinson he couldn't get started
Yeah.
because they had less than 75 yards total rushing, so that was a bummer. But I mean, they came in clutch in OT and wrapped it up. So
Man, look, all I can say is that I agree with everything that you said. Um, just looking at my notes, like you said, career
mhm.
pass tonight, the 4 touchdowns. Kirko Chains was in the building,
Yep.
flashing all the swag. And one of my
Kyle Pitts,
biggest
one of your picks for tight ends. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
he
He
showed
showed
up.
up too.
Showed
Yep.
up, but even
So
bigger than that, I'm gonna go with the really the third amigo that's not really being talked about, Daryl Mooney,
mhm.
man. I mean, he
Yeah.
came in, he showed up. He showed up. I think they signed him. What was it, a 3-year deal during the offseason?
Yeah.
From
Mhm.
Chicago, 9 passes caught, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And if this is something that he can do consistently, I think that really helps give Atlanta another dimension. And like you said, if they can figure out how to marry that running game to this type of passing assault, give them that balance. Man,
Mhm.
it's going to take a lot of pressure off not only Kirk, but also off of Drake London. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times teams are really scheming for him as the number one guy. So if Pitts and Mooney show up like that each and every week, it's going to be crazy. And then like Tampa, bro, I mean, I'm gonna have to call out their defense, man. They the week before they allowed Bo Nix to go crazy by Bo Nix standards, right? And
Yeah.
then that was 216 yards and 26 points. And then this
Yeah.
fiasco, because like this right here, it's really gonna have to be fixed. Because I took a moment to look at their upcoming schedule. Like they got the Ravens, the Falcons, again, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. So if
Right.
Tampa don't get right on defense, because surprisingly, like we talked in a couple of lives before, man, on the Blitz, man, Baker's been stepping up.
Oh yeah.
He's been holding his end of the bargain. So the defense,
Hmm.
man, they really gonna have to step up because these next 5 weeks, man, it could be really ugly down in Tampa real quick.
Yeah, that secondary got depleted. Like, let's just keep it a
Yeah,
bean right there.
I mean
Like they,
they did, but it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, man. So,
yeah,
but kudos, man. The Kirko changed, man. I did
yeah.
not foresee this level of Kirk Cousins coming to Atlanta, but man, shout him out.
Hmm.
So who you got next on your list?
Um, we could go with the Ravens and Bengals next.
Ooh,
This
another
game
one.
was a whole lot. Look, I felt bad for Joe Cool because Joe Cool thought he had it in the bag, but you can't leave. You know what I'm saying? They went into overtime.
Mm-hmm.
They got caught leaking in that fourth quarter,
Right.
and what can you say about Derrick Henry though? You know what I'm
Phew,
saying?
monster.
Like when we talk about monsters on the doggone field, he was on grown man status. We were thinking about cut bench or what is it? Cut
Start
bench
start
or
start
start.
cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And earlier in the season, I was looking at doggone Derrick Henry, like he ain't that dude, fell off, and I eating crow
He
right
a
now
monster.
because
He a monster,
that,
bro.
yeah, like that much is still. If you get in his way, just like walk away. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just
Yeah.
chill out, let it be. Like, please
Yeah,
don't even
man.
risk it for your health and safety. Don't even do it. So, Lamar Jackson, 348 yards, 4
Yeah.
touchdowns, like
Yeah.
money. So, shouts out to doggone Baltimore. With that being said, like you look on the flip side, uh, Cincinnati's Achilles heel is still there. They've been
Yeah.
having a lackluster defense for like
Yeah.
forever,
Ever.
and
Yeah.
it showed up. They ran out of gas towards the second half of the game. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And they couldn't
Yep.
deliver when they needed to come in clutch. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You got Joe, Jamar Chase. They're doing their part. So we just
Right.
asking the defense like to hold the line, and they couldn't do it. So
You hit it on the head, man, because that's really what it was for me. Like my biggest take, like the Baltimore came back, man, and again looking at my notes, they came back with those 10 unanswered points to force overtime.
mhm,
So
yep,
that's huge. Um, and like while there's still a lot, I think that like you say, Baltimore needs to fix. They look pretty strong right now as a contender in the
yeah,
AFC behind Lamar, that running game. And if Lamar's putting up, I think he accounted for over 400 yards himself.
yeah,
That's something, man, to really be on the lookout for. And I mean, look, he started out slow, but he's putting up those MVP numbers now. I mean, 9
yeah,
touchdowns and 1 interception while really helping to get them back into the AFC conversation when they started 0-2, right? So he
yeah,
really balling out right now. But I think they're kind of back to business. But the biggest thing again with Baltimore right now, you talk about Cincinnati's defense, which they've never had.
hmm,
Their pass defense is becoming a real problem. Like just looking at them
right,
over the last couple of weeks. Um, uh, a stat here, I got a note that they're 28th in passing
hmm,
yards per game allowed, and that's
right,
going to be really hard because really now it's the battle of the Beltway here in the DMV area because they got the Commanders coming in with Jaden Daniels, who's on
hmm,
fire right now. So,
beast in it.
he beasting it, man. So it's going to be
Yeah,
really interesting to see, again, how Baltimore fixed that pass, that defensive passing game,
yeah.
moving forward. But right now, man, they back in the conversation. And if I had to, knowing what we know now, we already seen what happened in week 1 with Baltimore and Kansas City.
Right.
I'm I'm really more impressed by how Baltimore has evolved from that. Like I
Right.
said, coming back, from being 0-2, got Henry in the running game. Lamar looks really sharp. Andrews was back in the passing game. Likely, like these little steps that they've made. Right now, just looking into the future, I think that's going to be a heck of a matchup. And that right now, I would have to put them both in the championship game right now because Buffalo's fell off, and some of the other teams in the AFC. And right now, those two man look like the cream of the crop.
Kansas City's just getting lucky. But that's another
No,
topic for another time.
hey,
You know
hey,
what I'm
but
saying?
you, but
And
you,
luck wins champion. I mean, they
hey,
getting W's, but you know what
you
I'm
get the
saying?
breaks.
They don't.
Sometimes getting the
It,
breaks
it,
helps.
it feels like last year all over again because they played sloppy ball last year and they ended up
Right.
getting the ship. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking that it's about to happen again. So
Mm-hmm. Hey, sometimes luck is all you
yeah,
need, man. Get those breaks, you get those calls, and it falls
mm-hmm.
your way, man. And I agree with you. I mean, it's not like Kansas City of 2 years ago or 3 years ago where they was just
Right.
lighting it up.
Yeah.
They've definitely been. And again, I don't know if it's the passing game, whatever it is, or maybe teams have just caught up to what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, but they get those
Right.
breaks and they make the plays that they need to make. When they do like that
Mm-hmm.
crazy 3rd and 22,
Yeah.
the Kelsey with the pitch, and like just
Yeah.
like crazy stuff like that. It seems like it only happens in Kansas City, but I agree with you. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still we only a quarter of the way there, so
Yeah.
we still got
That's it.
more. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. So
Yep.
what else you got up next?
I got Green Bay,
Oh, we
of
got back,
course,
man.
and
Whew.
against the Rams. Like,
Yes,
look, I was disgusted for like a whole 30 minutes in this doggone game. All
really.
right. And the whole time I'm like, where's Malik? Like, bring Malik ass in. Because it's the same thing. If we would have talked last week, and we
Right.
would have went over the game that we played against Minnesota, like look, man,
It
I
was
just need
terrible.
you to get 10 doggone yards. Like,
Right.
stop trying to air the ball out all the
Right.
time. All
Right.
right. I understand that you're in the shadows of the great number four. I mean,
Right.
number 12, not number
Right.
four.
Right.
But with that being said, you got to play smart ball. In that potential safety / pick six that happened, like that was disgusting too.
That
That's
was
when
what
I
it
was
was.
like, bruh, like, come
Yeah.
on now.
Yeah.
With that being said, the defense woke up the second half. They only had 6 points in the second half. We had 2 touchdowns. Doggone Xavier McKinney. You know what I'm saying? He was one of my top 5.
And he's got one every week so far, right? One
One
pick,
every
one
week.
pickle, one pickle
One
every week.
Yep, one
Shoo,
pick. He had a
man.
pickle and he had a fumble
Yeah,
recovery. So like he's living up to the hype. Like I knew
definitely,
that boy was special and he's showing the damn thing on that one.
definitely.
As for the Rams, I mean they're plagued with both teams were plagued with injuries. Like let's
Yeah,
just be clear with that.
yeah.
But the Rams have the heavier hit. I mean, like basically your whole offensive line, like you're working on
Trash.
scraps right now.
Yeah, basically, you
If
third
we're
teaming
being
it.
honest.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
third teaming it right now.
So they're getting by with what they have. I don't think that their record shows like how they play for to be so shorthanded.
Right.
So I think they're going to have if they could get healthy like the second half, I think that they can make a pretty decent run.
Yeah.
As far as Green Bay, like you look at the whole NFC North right now with the
Beast.
undefeated Vikings. You have the Lions with 1 loss, I
Yep.
think 1 or 2 losses. And then Chicago and Green Bay are down at the bottom. So it's going to be a real fight. Like I said, I felt coming in that the NFC North was going to be like the most dominant
Yeah, man. Division.
division
Yeah.
out of everyone. So, and
Right.
I still stand by that.
No, you're right. Because I mean, basically, the whole division is over 500. First of all,
Yes.
so that's how
Hmm.
competitive it is, man. And with the win, I mean, I definitely kept them in the race. And like I said, I want to give love because I agreed with you last week. Um,
Hmm.
I was calling for Malik Willis too. I was like, Malik should be in the game, but we got to
Right.
give love. I mean, you had a couple of weeks. You're still coming back from injury. Um, so hopefully this is one of those things where yes, they're winning, which is good, but he's getting his mojo back, kind of getting himself back, into that groove. And the biggest takeaway though, really for me was really when I looked at it. One, you guys got a big homestand coming up. You got the Cardinals, the Texans coming to Lambeau. I
Right.
think again, I don't want to diminish any other professional football team, but yeah, I want to give you guys a dub. But the Texans game is what I'm going to be interested in seeing. I think that's a good matchup. But my biggest take
Right.
really was your tight end Tucker Kraft. I don't even think he
Oh yeah.
was slated to start. To be honest with you, for you
Right.
guys, and
Yeah. And he was plagued with injuries last season too.
so
So we lost him like midway through the season. So
right,
he's like, here I am. Like, don't
yeah,
worry, I got you.
bro. I mean, look at like I said, he started out like I don't know with some Willie Bobo with 12 catches and like a $120 over the
Yeah.
first couple of games, but on Sunday, man, 66-yard touchdown in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4. I mean,
88 total yards, I want to say.
yeah, it's something like, but 2 touchdowns, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yep.
I mean, again, these as much as you want to see more from Love and really moving the offense, you guys made the plays and you hit the guys that really are helping you step up and keeping. I don't want to say keep your ship alive, but keeping you guys competitive, and keeping you
Right.
afloat in that division. And I mean, you called it like the Rams on the flip side. I think this game pretty much buried any potential playoff hope, even though they went on a run last year, 7, 8
Right.
games to close out the season. But man, when you start like this, it's really hard. And I know they're hoping to get Cooper Kupp back. I think they have a bye coming up, and
Yeah.
you know they got the Raiders and the Vikings, coming to them, and then they go to Seattle, and that's really tricky. But I just think we're looking at a now or never situation
Right.
for the Rams moving forward. Like they those next 3, they got to come out on top some kind of way, man. I think they got to pull out at least 2 of those to even really have a chance on the back half of the season. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be crazy interesting for them. But man, you guys, in Green Bay, man, you looking good, man. And that, like you said, that North, man, it's tough. I mean, it's
Right.
tough. And we was talking trash about Chicago early,
I
and
know. I mean, it's the Panthers, though. Like, let's
well,
just.
true, but you got to play the games that's on the
I
schedule.
mean, which is true. You know what I'm saying? I felt like doggone Andy Dalton had one job going back to Soldier Field and he failed. So
Yeah, but he failed royally. That was a
yeah,
royal.
yeah,
That was
that
a
was an embarrassment. That was a shellacking right
yeah,
there.
yeah. They got Molly whopped out there, man. So we gonna transition, I guess, to the couple of games I had on the slate. I'm gonna start with the Texans and the Bills. Just looking at my notes real quick. I really think this was really a disaster class, really, on by the coaches on both sides. I wasn't really
Right.
impressed. Houston really just outlasted Buffalo. It was a last second thriller, but I got to call out Josh Allen, man. He was atrocious, bro. He was
Yeah.
he was this dude. He was. Let's start on the other side. CJ went for 331 yards, 28 to 38.
Hmm.
And with the win, they really taking command of the division, 2 games ahead of the Colts in the AFC South, kind of giving them a cushion as they go into New England next week. But Josh Allen, like I said, man, this had to be the worst day of his career. This dude was 9 for 30, a buck 30 plus, 131 or 132 or whatever it was. Um, I don't even really know what's going on now because I think we're starting to teams are catching up. They really have no receiver game. As much as he say, made the comment about, he likes playing with guys that are not about stats. He's feeding everybody this, that, and the third. Uh, it's ugly, and he missed on, I think it was 2 game changing plays where he missed Dalton Kincaid and he missed Mac Hollins on deep shots.
Right.
So I don't know. Like I think everything is starting to balance out. Buffalo's coming back to earth, and I wouldn't be shocked if this was the beginning of a continued losing streak for Buffalo, because I just don't see it. I don't see what the professionals see in Buffalo. I just don't see them carrying on, other than the AFC East is being so weak that they squeeze out the division at like 9-7 or something like that. Because that's what it looks like right now in the AFC East.
Hey, look, they picked up Marquez Valdez Scantling, so their receiving core is not the best if you need to sit here and scrounge out and grab him because he can't catch the ball worth a damn. Uh, I mean, but you look at Curtis Samuels, he only had 1 reception, 0 yards. James Cook couldn't get
Bust,
started.
bust.
Kincaid couldn't get started. Coleman couldn't get started. They had really an okay rushing. I mean, you did give James Cook the ball 20 times and he had about
Right,
80 yards when it came
right.
to it, but like your rifleman, he couldn't even shoot it downfield. So I don't know
Nothing.
if that's a testament to Houston and their defense. And
Fair enough.
Josh Allen is known for his legs too, and he couldn't
Yep.
get that started either. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a roller coaster of a season. I think
Yeah.
that they're probably going to win in spurts, but them dubs going to be heavy. And the bigger question is, are you going to be able to compete within your conference? Because now we're going
Yeah.
from like you leading or making it into the playoffs, or are you going to be a wild card, fighting for
Right.
that last spot? So
Right. Well, I think in that I think they hold up the 4th seed, just
Hmm.
because they'll probably win their division, but I think they'll probably be the weakest of the 4 division winners going in, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wins is gonna be hard for them, I just think, moving on. Just looking at, like I said, everything's kinda come back to earth. I just don't see Buffalo being or striking any fear into anybody or anyone,
Right.
over the next couple of weeks, so it's gonna be interesting. And then we had a good old classic. We had, the Cowboys and the Steelers, of the heydays, the 70s and 80s, and, they strapped up, and, Dallas found a way to win Sunday night. I mean, they just found a way. And that was really on the touchdown reception to Tolbert with like the last 10 or 15 seconds in the game, I think it was. But I think the main takeaway, neither one of these teams are current contenders. I don't care. I don't care how you cut it. Neither Dallas made too many mistakes. With 3 turnovers, all by the highest paid quarterback in the league, Dak Prescott. Um, they had 11 penalties, and that was like I seen one, but I went back and looked. There was 2 fourth quarter personal fouls. Um, and look, let's just talk about Pittsburgh. I like what they're doing with Justin Fields, but let's just be out.
Hmm.
Let's be honest. They cannot consistently generate any offense to really be a
Right.
threat for that defense that really keeps them in the game. And if I had to say playoff teams, maybe for both teams, maybe. But any real threat, I don't see it from either one of them. The most dominant player on the field, and I think one of the most dominant players in the NFL, TJ Watt. This dude's
Hmm.
like he's a wrecking ball, man. This dude is
Yeah.
everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, he was dominant uh, throughout most of the game, even though they took the L. Um, and really, I just have to say, like the Steelers are going to have a hard time competing against good teams with a passing attack.
Yeah.
Without a passing attack, if Justin Fields is the guy pulling the trigger. But all in all, you know, they probably need another receiver too, because sometimes, wasn't it Pickens? I don't know,
Yeah.
dude,
You don't know when
dude.
he's going to show up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
with that though, I mean, they lost a game that was close, and like I got to give it, Dallas won it, when it mattered in the closing seconds. So to
Yeah.
be seen.
I mean, they pulled through. Even though CD Lamb said like the most memorable quote, he said subpar throw from subpar Dak. And I was like, oh damn. Like
Yeah, yeah. It's not pretty right now in Big D. It's not
no,
pretty at all.
no,
Mm,
no.
mm.
And I mean, uh, once again, we're talking about another team that didn't do any significant changes in the offseason too.
You're
So
right.
they're just going to be a product of whatever they bring to the table.
Right.
And as long as Jerry Jones is there, this is what you can expect. All
Yeah.
right. So if you're a Dallas fan out there, don't get your hopes up. I know that y'all got this W and y'all probably going to have a winning season. But when it comes to the playoffs, we already know where you go to
Typical.
stand.
Yeah.
You gotta
Typical.
you gotta go out the same way you came in. So like don't get hyped up just yet.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm not impressed by anything. And then, I look at you know, just the whole overall it just doesn't look like it's pretty in Big D, and it's gonna be a long, hard road. Uh Man, that's a good question, Cliff. I
Dak,
mean,
yes. I mean, you
Dak
done
definitely.
invested, yeah,
Yeah,
255 mil. Yes,
yeah,
definitely. CD Lamb, I don't know.
yeah,
That's a tough one for me to sit here and I I think as the season progresses, and like if we pay attention to his stats, if he has 1,000 yards, I don't know. You got to make it past the second round because he could have 1,000 yard season.
yep.
They can make the playoffs, but if they lose, I think he's going to be done. You know what I'm saying?
And
Because
that's
you
the
can
part
see
I
that
agree.
CD Lamb want to win. You know what I'm saying? And doggone Dak is going to be holding him back. There are no running backs. They got
Nope.
well, we got to go over bench cut start.
Yeah.
So
There's
I
nothing.
want to
Yeah.
save that conversation. But
Hmm.
like you gave up Tony Pollard. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? I'm not saying that
Yep.
he's having the best season out there in Tennessee, but he's being productive and like
Hmm.
he showed those glimmers of like I think that if he was back in the NFC with that program, that he'll still be dominant. You know what I'm
Agreed.
saying? He's going to
Agreed.
get those yards that you need.
Agreed.
And like you can put them out on the screen and all that stuff. Like you don't have that anymore in Dallas.
Yeah,
So
I think that you hit it. That's the huge part. I agree with you. Dak got it. Dak just got the bag. So
yeah.
he's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So good evening. So he's gonna be there. I'm with you
Yep.
though. I think Dallas, for CD to even want to invest his time, right, and really for them to even be of the mindset that we're going to win or we have a chance to win, Dallas has to win in the first round. They
Yeah.
have to. They
Yeah.
have to advance.
Hmm.
And really, I think it's really for me. I think with them and the hype and everything that you get with them each and every year, it's past this that they also have to get to the championship game for CD to even want to consider staying. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just
Yeah.
no way because you know just the friction already. You know when you got your top quarterback and your number one wide receiver, just with the verbal jabs and the messaging that we're seeing in the body language, it's already toxic. So the
Yeah.
only way you're gonna fix it is one, you got to win. Two, you need to start winning big. And three,
Hmm.
you got to get to that championship level to even really uh consider staying. Because I know I would. If I'm in a
Yeah.
situation we've been doing this thing for 2 or 3 years, but every year we exit first game and I'm with the same guy.
Yep.
Like after a while, it has to be about winning at some point. It's not about okay, you got
Yeah.
your bag already. It has to be about winning. So again, like we people in the news, Devontae Adams and the Raiders. Like at some point, he's got his money right. So what is Devontae really? What's left for him? He wants to win. I would think. So you gotta be thinking about okay, where am I going to go next that gives me the best chance to win at this
Right.
point? And I think that could be CD Lamb at the end of this year. So that
Yeah.
great question, Cliff.
I think the only thing besides what we said, the only other thing that I could think is if they either during midseason free agency or at
Mhm.
the end of the year, which more than likely that's going to happen. Like they need another weapon out. They need another receiver to pair with doggone CD Lamb.
I
Because I mean,
agree.
Brandon Cooks, he can't even stay healthy. So you know what I'm
No, well, I
saying?
mean,
That's
he's already
that's
he
another
back
issue
on
right there.
IR or something like that already,
Right.
right?
That's what I'm
Uh,
saying. Like they really don't have no receivers to you just have CD Lamb. So they're just going to sit here double, triple team him. You know what I'm
right,
saying? You
right.
really can't sit here and rely on the rest of your receivers.
No, and like you said, in the running game, we'll get to that because you and I are probably on the same page without even knowing it. But it's crazy. Like I said, they'll get some wins.
Yeah.
And they'll be competitive for the division. But I think we agree where that's going to end up. It's crazy how these things play out during the year. They should have never let him go, in my opinion, Cliff. Um,
No.
Amari, I thought he perfect fit. Your one or your two on a team like Dallas, really would help open up the field for CD. Would help open up the field probably for whatever tight end game they have. Um, but again, though, they're depleted. They again no running game because I mean that's really kind of been the meat. A lot of the meat of their
Hmm.
success over the years was hammering everybody with Zeke. And then,
Yep.
you switched up where they had Pollard and the speed backs and the scat backs coming out of the backfield.
Hmm.
So they had a lot
Yeah.
of different options. But now, like, Sam said, there's one singular focus here. And it makes it easier for the teams to really defend. Like I say, you double team, triple team CD, and then what's there? Somebody else has got to make a play, and they don't have
Yep.
playmakers. So,
Yep. If I was Amari, I'd be ready to go back to Dallas too because they ain't got no quarterback in
oh
Cleveland.
man, I don't know. Deshaun is he's stinking it up there, man.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what's going on with that brother,
Hey,
man.
look, he's one of the biggest finesses since that Bitcoin scandal. $244 million. I know they restructured his contract, but damn, I mean, he still got what 135
Yeah,
guaranteed out of that.
yeah, yeah.
So
Whew, crazy, man.
yeah,
I don't even know what's that going on. Yeah, well, suffering. I think Cleveland is suffering. I don't know if Deshaun is suffering, but
mhm,
Cleveland is suffering with his play because he's just been terrible
yeah.
since he got there, and be a long season. They might as well throw famous Jameson and get them dubs, man.
Hey,
Let him
look,
eat them
yeah,
dubs,
get them dubs. Go ahead, get
man.
my dub pancakes.
Yeah, for real.
You just don't need to be out there licking his fingers again. No grown
Nah,
man should do
yeah, we
that.
will.
Like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. No grown man ever should be
Yeah,
doing that. Agreed.
nah, please stop.
Uh,
Don't do it.
So my last game on the slate, obviously, we're gonna talk about my Giants. So look,
The
I know I've been
G-Man.
bashing them. And I know I'm
Hmm.
talking trash. Danny Dimes was stinking it up. The whole offense was stinking it up. So I had to really take a pause after this weekend and really genuflect, if you will. I had to really sit down and reflect on what we're looking at. And man, yeah, nah, man, I'm not gonna do it, Cliff. I'm not. I'm being honest. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not. I'm not. I'm starting to see a foundation. Now, I took it back to Buffalo looking at Dable. I do like him as a coach. I think he's the perfect fit, for our Giants as a coach. Now, we have a number one wide receiver because really Buffalo wasn't nothing with Josh Allen until they went out. They got him a wide receiver in Diggs. They went and got a running back, and I'm going to talk about running backs because young Tyrone Tracy, I think we found a gem. He showed up. Devin Singletary's not bad. He's a good holdover, but I think we found a guy in Tyrone Tracy. Now Tracy's not an every down back, but I
Hmm.
think he gives you that good compliment. Our offensive line, we have a great left tackle. The rest of the guys, not so much. But again, going back to Buffalo, their early years they were built on defense. Our defense showed up and has been showing up. So I'm looking at it positively moving forward. As long as we continue to stay competitive like we did on Sunday, um, you know, we showed up. We got blown out by the Vikings in week 1. We split our last 4 games. We're really starting to come around, and I'm going to give Daniel Jones some credit. He nice, man. I'm not even going. The young boy Tracy is nice. Now he only had 12 carries in the first couple of games. Devin was out. He took over. He ran for almost a buck 30 on 18 carries. Nice moves. They made the plays. Um, and I think it was impressive. So I'm positive moving forward that I'm gonna say because I only gave us 4 wins to start the year. I think we might get 6 or 7 if we stay competitive. Right. He found his own holes and everything. So just looking at that, as long as we can keep this kind of formula that's been going over the last couple of weeks, we found
Right.
balance. We've found somewhat of a running game. And even when Malik got hurt and went out with the concussion, Daniel still stayed on task with Wayndell Robinson and Slayton and all the other guys, and he made plays. And our defense showed up when we needed it the most. So long as we have this, uh, I'm confident now, and I'll be putting my blue back on probably next week to go ahead and rip. Because I had it in the closet. I'm sorry, but I'm happy to be back on the G-Men bus.
Hey, look. First off, I'm still giving. If we would have spoke yesterday, I would have still gave Danny Dimes his flowers last week because the man threw for like 300 and some change.
Yeah,
Like he kept New York in the game against Dallas. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yep, yep.
So I give him all the credit. This week he showed up again. You know what I'm
He did.
saying? I would have had my same pick now. I would have picked the G-Men again because I have faith in Danny Dimes. I think it's a wake up call. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Spread the ball around. Now you got that running that you got that running game going on. Defense starting to wake up a little bit. So like, the pieces are molding together. So
Right.
like I agree with you. I think there's a couple of more wins in there. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just all about the consistency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think y'all all right. Go ahead and rock that blue again.
Yeah. I'm gonna get it out, man. I'm gonna rep it proud. Until
Stuttering a little bit right there. It's kind of like
nah.
50-50.
Like I ain't gonna lie. Like I want to be happy, bro. I want to be like everybody
Right.
else, but in the back of my mind, though, I know what we dealing with. Like it's gonna keep it a buck. But I'm feeling good, and I'm gonna break it out the closet next week. Or maybe I shouldn't.
Right.
Because see, when I'm not, it seems like we doing better when I'm not. So I don't know. I gotta figure this whole thing out. But yeah, I'm proud of the guys. And like I said, Seattle. The only thing I can really talk about them in that game, man, this their defense, man. I don't know what happened. They couldn't force an incomplete pass, like you said, and
Right.
the loss to the Giants. The Giants just moved the ball up and down the field. So
Yeah.
I don't know. If Seattle was one of those quiet underdogs early on. Um, But I don't know what's going on. I think they're in regression right now. Cliff, we say, please show Danny Dimes how to throw to the chest instead of to the ground. Well,
I mean, he still had like 280 yards in the game. So, and the right people caught the ball. You know what I'm
well,
saying? I should be yelling at Jordan Love to throw the ball out of bounds and not throwing inbounds for a pick six. So I got my own quarterback issues, Cliff. I got to take care of that shit first. All right.
Hey man, look,
My QB throwing shit to the ground too. You know what I'm saying? Having wide open wicks. So let me one mountain climb at a time, bro.
Yeah, one at a time. One at a time. So look, man, interesting week. So we go ahead and we get into running backs this week. We're gonna talk about running backs this week. Who we want to start, who we want to bench, who we want to cut. I'll start with you. You know, who would be your running back to start this week?
Derrick Henry. I don't care what defense, just start them. They don't have a bye. Let me make sure. Yeah. Oh, I mean, they play the Commanders, but at the same time, they're playing in Baltimore. That's kind of a home game either way.
Yep.
That could go either way with either team as far as like that home crowd advantage. But like, I don't care if you're a defensive end. Please don't be a defensive end linebacker. Lord, please don't be a safety or a cornerback, because he gonna hit that hit stick on you and he's gonna make that Madden move. And next thing you know, it's gonna be a wrap. So like that's who I'm starting. Who I'm benching, probably Connor from Arizona. Like he hasn't been picking it up the way that I think he should.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say bench him. No, don't cut him. I'm sorry, bench him.
You're gonna bench him, okay.
But cut.
Okay.
All right. I'm just gonna leave it right there. Doggone Ezekiel Ewok Elliott. I don't know if anybody have him on your your fantasy football team, but cut that man. Cut him loose. Look, like I said, he's been washed for a minute. And no disrespect. Man. That's why I love Tony Pollard so much. And I'm mad that he didn't get the shine that he did, which made him go to Tennessee because they did the man dirty. You know what I'm saying? And now you back and like you still ain't doing nothing. You're not doing. You don't have that dominant that speed back that you were talking about earlier. You don't have that anymore. So you get in these third and whatever situations, and you trying to rely on Zeke, but like you getting stuff. You know, like it's Thanksgiving. So
I mean,
let him go.
I mean, that's one of those where I think that was a thank you contract. Hey, we'll bring you back. We'll put you in the star, and we'll thank you, for your previous years of service.
Yeah.
But I agree with there's no burst, there's no explosiveness, there's no more there was a time you probably didn't want to see him coming through the hole. Now it's a joke.
And you haven't seen it for like the past 3 years. I want to say like 4 years. Like you haven't seen, and that's why they were, and that's why they were relying so heavy on Tony Pollard even before he left. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come into Dallas, or he didn't come in unless it was like a third and short situation, or a third and goal when you're at like the 2-yard line. That's the only time during his last season that he was actually like productive. Other than that, it was Tony Pollard and the other kid that they had at the time. I can't think of his name. So like Dunsky. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. And Cliff is saying, I think this is exactly what it is, Cliff. This is this should be the Zeke farewell tour, because I really think that's what it is. Again, I go back to, it's a thank you contract, because he doesn't really bring outside. And again, I shouldn't say he doesn't bring anything outside of the experience, of helping, to be a mentor, maybe to some of the running backs in the running back room. It's really not much that he brings on the field. He was never really thought of as a pass catcher coming out of the backfield. I mean, obviously, yes, you want to have him probably in pass situations where, he's pass protecting for Zeke, because, you would think he'd be able to pick up these blitzes and different things, but he doesn't really bring anything to the tour. So, I mean, this is his tour, I think, and I think it will be best for him to go ahead and to move on into something else after this year, because there's really nothing happening with him.
Right.
So it is what it is. So for me, I'm gonna go my start for this week. I'm going with my man Tyrone Tracy. I was really impressed. this week we got the Bengals coming up, so it's really no threat there. We know. I think this is a matchup gold mine for the Giants. To be honest with you, this is another one that you can kind of get under your belt. Another notch under your belt. Thank you, Cliff. See, I'm telling you, I'm there. I'm there. And I think with Cincinnati, really, like, I'm looking here, especially like if Devin Singletary remains sidelined, this is a feast game. Cincinnati's defense has led up at least 17, points on defense, and that's average to running backs, if you're talking fantasy. And I think this is just one of those feast games. And this is not even a famine game unless the Giants just implode. I think this is a feast game. So I'm going with Tyrone Tracy. Now, the guy I'm going to bench is Rico Dowdell in Dallas. They're going up against Detroit this week, and they've been one of the best teams against the run in the NFL this week. And Detroit's defense doesn't get a lot of credit, but we talked about it in the preseason. I thought that they were a pretty dominant up and coming group, real quiet because everything we talk about with them is on the offensive side. But they've been one of the best against the run this year, and you can't trust nothing in Dallas. We just talked about it. There's no offensive line. There's really, CeeDee Lamb, and that's it. And I just don't see Rico having a shot, especially if Detroit gets out in front. If it's a 10 or 14 point game, the running game is done for Dallas anyway. So they're going to be throwing the ball all day. So just if you have Rico on your fantasy squad, go ahead and put him on the bench. Now, the person I would cut, I'm going to Tampa Bay. I'm Rachaad White. Started out, was one of those really underlying running backs with Tampa Bay. Had a pretty strong year last year with them, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what's over, but Bucky Irvin, man, he's taking over the backfield right now. The kid, he's faster. He's just as strong. He's actually better out of the backfield with the hands, catching and receiving. So I would just go ahead and just cut Rachaad White because I think his RB1 is gone now for him. So you might as well put him on the back end and go ahead, and if you haven't, get Bucky Irvin, put him on your fantasy squad moving forward for Tampa Bay. So that's what I'm looking at for my cut. So as we come to the back end, we're gonna look at week 4. We moving into next week's schedule, and I mean there's some pretty interesting matchups on the schedule. And let's start with out west with the 49ers going to the Seahawks. Now, this is one of those games. I don't know about you. The 49ers, they're devastated by injuries, but they just look like trash.
Right.
But the Seattle team doesn't look any better. The Seahawks, I don't know, Jekyll and Hyde. So for you, who you think is going to walk away with that one? Because they're playing out in Seattle.
I'm going with Seattle just due to the 49ers' continuous injuries. I'm still missing CMC. Ayuk showed up, but I mean, he was okay-ish last week. But they're still missing a lot of key components on defense. Yeah. So, and I said it a couple of weeks ago, that Seattle stadium is a hard one to sit there and play in. So I'm going to go with them.
Well, you know what? It's a short week. This game is Thursday. I'm going to take the 49ers in a tough, NFC West battle. I agree with you. Everything is, I mean, they're banged up and busted up left and right. No CMC, but what's his name? Jim Michaels, the young man they got right. I mean, he runs hard.
He's showing up too. Yeah,
he's showing up, man. He's keeping that run game alive. And just after watching Seattle against my Giants, the 49ers, even with a broken offense, they still have more weapons. And I'm going to take the 49ers on the road in Seattle on a short week.
Okay.
Next up, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about the Jaguars and the Bears. This one here is going to be, I think this one is actually in London this week.
Yeah, it's a London game.
Yeah. So just with that going across the pond, the Jaguars have been terrible, bro. They stink.
I don't have no faith in
Trevor Lawrence,
Kenny Sunshine Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? So like, and I said Kenny on purpose. I know his name.
I know you did. Might as well name him Kenny.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going with the Bears. You know, I
Yeah,
despise other teams in the NFC North, but like
yeah,
there's nothing threatening about doggone Jacksonville right now. So I'm gonna have to
right.
lean on the Bears.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, exactly. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, overhyped. Just not the guy. I don't see. I like you said. I don't see anything that's scary.
No.
Offensively or defensively from
Yep.
Jacksonville right now,
That's the
uh,
problem
and
too.
and that's the problem. Yeah, like there's
Yeah.
nothing on either side of the
Neither
ball.
one of them could keep them afloat. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So
no. So
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm going to take the Bears, even though they've picked it up over the last couple of weeks. But to me, they're still not spectacular. But in this one,
Right.
they're more spectacular than Kenny Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence in this one. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Next game on the schedule, we going to Lambeau. Yeah, I got the Cards
Okay.
coming in. You got short guy,
Yeah.
Kyler, who got drop back, take a 10-step drop back to see over his offensive line coming to Lambeau.
I mean, I already know where I'm going with this one. Only thing I'm gonna say is doggone Kyler Murray better be careful because Xavier is hungry.
Yeah, man.
And
He
hey,
on
look,
fire.
he could fling that prayer up all he want, and he's gonna have a couple of pickles to go with them
Yeah, man.
doggone dropbacks.
Yeah,
So
he on fire, man.
yeah, Green Bay. I mean, for me, Green Bay. I have to go
I
with
know.
that. So
I think this one at home at Lambeau. Again,
mhm.
Cardinals are Jekyll and Hyde. You touched on it. Connor hasn't been showing up in the run game. Outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., don't really see much. Too many weapons. Well, not true. Trey McBride, I mean,
Mhm.
is Kyler's safety blanket, but they don't have enough weapons. I think to fire and like you guys, the Packers defense been on fire. Like I said, Xavier
Yeah.
McDaniels, defensive MVP right now. I mean, he defensive player of the year right now because I mean, a pickle in every game. He's making plays, fumble recovery, all kind of man. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm taking the Packers on that one.
Yeah. I
Um,
just don't want them to wait a whole second half to pick it up. So I just
yeah,
need Jordan to be smarter with the ball.
yeah,
Like warm up, just do a couple of flyouts, 5-10 yards here and there.
yeah.
Like don't dump it all the time. All right. Like enough of that shit. Like just stop. Okay. Simmer down. Like
Yeah,
you had 2 games to get this out your system. So don't
yeah.
show up
I
next
think this
week.
week. I think this is where,
Yeah.
like I said, that was kind of my thought. I think the first 2 games coming back from injury, I didn't expect him to play as bad,
Yeah.
and I mean you're winning, but I expected him to be a little bit better. But I think now 3 weeks after injury, I think this is where he kind of finds his groove, and this is a perfect game really to really find that groove. You got the
Yeah.
pack. I mean
Yeah.
the
If you're
Cardinals
gonna
coming.
have one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect game for it. Next up, 2 teams that like one is an enigma, don't know what the Colts are doing, and we just know that the Titans are trash. So the Colts are playing the Titans in Tennessee. Uh, listen, Anthony Richardson, I understand he's the guy there. He's just not ready. Watching my man Joey Flacco come in and burn, man. He threw like 350 some yards last week,
I
man. I
know.
mean, whew, uh, I'm going if Joey Flacco is starting, uh, I'm taking the Colts. If Anthony Richardson is starting, this is going to be probably a closer game. I would still take the Colts, but probably by a field goal. But if Joey Flacco is playing and he be playing the way I'm taking the Colts all day.
I'm going with the Colts, just for the simple fact that it's a 1 o'clock game, so we don't have to worry about Joe Flacco needing a power nap before that night. So, and Tennessee still got Will Levis, so that says it all right there.
Oh, that says it all. I mean, Will stinking Levis, but we shall proceed. We're going to New England for the next one. The
Okay.
Texans, man, finally seem to hit that groove where even with the injuries,
Hmm.
they have more than enough weapons, and CJ Stroud has been making it happen offensively. Their defenses seem to find their footing over the last couple of weeks. And they're going to New England. This one's a no-brainer. This is Houston all day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston. Like Patriots offense is still trying to figure themselves out, and
Who?
I mean,
Who?
uh,
Yeah, that's what I've been Pedro. Who?
oh,
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
They don't know what they want to do. Jacoby Brissett. I mean, sheesh. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Hey,
it's
nah.
just a
Well,
dismal over there.
they say Drake May is starting this week.
Oh, okay. Well,
Even
same
worse.
thing. It don't matter.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Same
make it any
result. Same
better.
result.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same
yeah.
result. Same
I
result.
give
Yeah.
him I give Mayo a whole half to sit there and play before they bring Brissett back in. Like, all right, young lad, you had enough. Like, come on.
If he doesn't get killed out there, you know what I mean? First
Yeah,
game,
exactly. Like,
he's
this
going
playtime
to
is over.
see the kitchen. Yeah, he's going to see the kitchen sink, the refrigerator, and everything. So yeah,
Yep.
that one's a no brainer. Next on the schedule, we go on to the South, NFC South battle
Okay.
of again 2 teams that it's competitive in the South for one. Let's just be clear. It's a lot more competitive than what we said. Yeah, well, no, they better pray that this snow. I mean, not the snow, but this storm comes up the East Coast and they get some heavy residuals because it's going to be terrible. But we got the Bucks going to the Bucks going to New Orleans, and yeah, that like this one. This is one of the games like to me that's intriguing because again, you don't know which team you're going to go. And I should say this in this way: like Tampa definitely needs their defense to step up.
Yeah.
New Orleans, you don't know what team you're going to get. And right, and to me, Cliff, that's what makes this one a good one because it's a divisional battle.
Yeah.
And I think with this one because it's at home, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Saints to win at home.
I have to disagree with you.
Okay.
Just when I'm looking at the functionality, my cat, he scared the hell out of me. I heard something behind me. I was like, yo, what the hell is that? But the doggone cat going kind of crazy. Chill out, Spooky. But with that being said, I'm just looking at the performance that doggone we just saw with the Saints. And like I don't know. There's still a couple of things that they need to work out. However, like we were just talking about Baker, Irving. I'm just thinking about that 1-2 punch, Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying? Like, is so much going on with Tampa Bay, and I might be eating crow on this one come next week, but I'm gonna lean on the Bucks.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, like I said, divisional game for me, man. It's just and like I said, with the way that Tampa's defense have been playing, because we've talked about it, a couple of weeks. I'm really impressed by Baker Mayfield. He's not bonehead Baker anymore. He's a legitimate. He's making great reads. He's making the plays. It's their defense. But when you're going on the road in the division, I'm going to take the home team on that one. Next on the schedule for next week, we got the Doodoo Browns coming to Philly. And again, I think it's not the only thing that to me makes this game interesting is Philly. The injuries and everything else that's going on, and they just look dysfunctional. It looks like there's a huge disconnect in Philly, and I don't know what it is. But on paper, the talent still screams to me, even with the injuries and things like that. Like to me, like they should be better than what they are, or we should be seeing better from them, right? So, and then you bring the Brown, like we talked about Deshaun. We don't know. I mean, look, he's just getting his money right now. They're just a hot mess across the board. I gotta take the Eagles just based off of that because I don't see anything in Cleveland that makes me even say they're a threat. So I got to go with the Eagles on that one.
I agree. There's nothing appealing that you could tell me that Cleveland got going on right now to make me say Cleveland even has a chance. So
right, yeah, well, we agree on that one. So we're gonna swing right here up the road. What do you say, Cliff? If the Eagles lose, let's say the Eagles lose. They better do the same thing. Yeah, and
I don't think they're going to fire their head coach though.
I don't think so.
I don't
either.
think so. Yeah, I think that if anything, that'll be like an end of season type of ordeal. I think that they'll ride it out because there's still hope. They're still the Eagles, so there's still that potential right there. Now, if they go on like a nice little slump. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like they just deconstructed themselves last season at the end of last season,
Yeah,
then it'll be a problem. But not right now. They still in the sub five. I mean plus 500,
yeah.
so they're good.
I
So
would agree.
there's no threat. I mean, there's no need right now.
I agree with that, but I like the point, Cliff, because and I agree with Sam. If they nosedive again, like they did last year, then yes. But I still do believe that I don't know what it is from the coach to the players. There's like this huge rift. Like there's a disconnect for that. So
Hmm.
I don't think it'll happen right now like the Jets did. And we talked about that earlier, Cliff. It's not mind blowing, but it is a bit unexpected. But the Jets are on paper, people were touting them as, one of this year's contenders. Uh, and everything just blew up. And Philly's kind of been floating along, building this championship contender with consistency. So I don't think I agree with Sam. I think that would have to give pause to the end of the year if there's another nosedive or somebody jumps off a
Yeah.
cliff. So I agree with that. Uh, what's your thoughts, Sam? We going to M&T. We right here, battle of the Beltway. We got the Commanders
Uh,
coming to the Ravens.
damn, that's going to be a tough one. I'm gonna go with doggone. I'm gonna go with Baltimore.
Mm,
All right. But Baltimore better be careful
yeah.
because
Agreed.
them. Hey, look, Lionel Richie is on his reunion tour, and them Commodores are something special. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? They
man.
bringing back all the hits.
Yeah, man.
So like they need to. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
think that this is probably going to be the best game of the week.
Yeah.
Because Jaden Daniels playing lights out, man. Man, it's going to be good. I honestly can't wait to watch that one. I think that's the game that I'm more excited to sit here and take a look at.
Well, definitely, I agree, I think we all agree. Like Cliff said, this is really, I think, for me, and we'll probably be diving into this one next week. I think this is the game of the week. You
Yeah.
got the up and coming, like you said, the Commodores, Lionel Richie doing they 2-step. Jaden Daniels has really impressed with not only his skill set, but the decision making, reading the
Mm-hmm.
plays, making the plays. Uh, Brian Robinson coming out of the backfield, like people don't talk about him, but he's a monster too, coming through the hole.
Yeah.
They've added, Eckler, coming out of the backfield, pass catching and
Mm-hmm.
receiving. They
Yep.
have, their receiving core is really, I don't want to say underrated. It's really unknown outside of Terry, but they're making the plays and moving the ball and they're scoring, man. I think they
Yeah.
average like 30 plus points a game.
Yeah.
So you
Crazy.
got to get it's
And
crazy.
who knew in 2024 that we would be talking about the Commanders 3-1
Exactly.
in their doggone division playing lights out ball. Like
Exactly.
unbelievable,
Exactly.
but here we
Yeah.
are.
Exactly. So it's interesting to see, man. And I mean, it's a division rival for me. I mean, obviously, I want them to take an L, but if I'm being honest, just talking football, I am highly impressed with the work that they're doing in DC with him and the team as a whole. And
Yeah.
we live here in the area, so man, it's a different kind of feel. I haven't seen so many Commodores fans walking around with their chests out and their
Uh,
head high in so long.
hey, look, I know that burgundy is going high. It went from the
Yeah.
clearance rack to like we need to go ahead and we got to
Yeah.
start paying top dollar for this again.
Yeah. I was like, man, get that RG3 out, man. But they they
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't move on past. They got Jaden Daniels, man. He's making moves, man. I love it. So kudos to the Commanders. Next up on the schedule, we going to Mile High. We got the broken down, beat up Chargers coming to the seems like newly re-energized Denver Broncos. So this one's what's your take on this one, Sam?
I'm going with the Broncos. Harbaugh need to get his. I mean, he's still a work in progress. So I guess this is his building year. Let me go ahead and fill this team out so I could go ahead and get it structured the way that I need to. So, yeah, kind of
Yeah.
like at that point right now.
Yeah, Bo Nix, man. Look, I gotta get. I came in hard, in our first one. I think I really talked terrible about Bo Nix and Sean Payton, in
Mm-hmm.
Denver. I really did.
Right.
I gotta give it to him. Yeah, look, Bo Nix, I didn't think of him high. I wasn't high on him coming out as a quarterback.
Right.
I thought he was a lot of hype and overrated. Yeah, he does, man. And I love to watch, as a rookie, man, you going head to head, with your
Yeah,
coach.
but he's another one. He's like Tannehill. He's like a veteran senior. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like he bounced from what, Ohio State, Auburn,
yeah. He was all over the place.
Georgia, DeVry University, uh,
Yep.
then went to Oregon. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
He he
The
he
fry.
he,
I
he
just
he
caught
went.
that. That was good. That was good. That
I
was
think he
good.
tied in a technical college in there too.
Right, right.
You know, he went to Phoenix. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like, so he's what? He should be like 26, 27 years old. So he's kind of like poised, for
yeah,
the NFL and
yeah,
everything. So,
yeah.
I think
I
that's
get
where the attitude comes from
I like
when
it.
you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, and he's been stepping up, and man, his numbers are not gaudy or great, but
Right.
like you said, just the age and the competitiveness, the fire that he has, to
Hmm.
want to win and to want to be better. I really
Yeah.
like it. However, on this one, I think it's time for Denver to kind of slide back to Denver, and I think Harbaugh and the running game for the Chargers is going to come out and punch Denver in the mouth because their defense, outside of Surtain, couple of linebackers, because one of the linebackers, his name slips me, but I know he's injured. He's going to
Uh,
be out because Bolton stepped
Bosa.
in for him. But one of them is out, and I just can't. I was
Yeah.
just looking at it before I got on, but I'm going to take the Chargers in this
Yeah.
one and a bounce back game for them on the road in Denver.
Okay.
Next up, we got the Steelers. Again, an AFC classic. Steelers taking on the Raiders. Uh,
I'm gonna go with the
yeah,
Steelers. I'm just gonna put it
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
Um, I mean, you still have so many issues going on in Las Vegas anyway.
yeah.
Crosby won out. Crosby already said that it's a package deal between him and Devontae Adams. So whatever
Right.
team picked them up, you know what I'm saying, they get in the full
Yep.
kit and caboodle. So
Yep.
I think with that animosity between the coaches, between the staff, and on your team, like it's too muddled right now, and they're not going to be focused enough. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm giving the Steelers that one. Another game that we going back to Dallas. The Lions are in town taking on the Cowboys in Dallas.
Lions go to smack them.
I have to agree.
There's
I'm actually
nothing. Go ahead.
now I'm looking forward to this one because I think the Lions are going to come into Dallas and stomp a hole in them. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to this one.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys actually going to get dragged on this one because we were already talking about they still got holes in their offense. They can't get a running game together. The only thing you got to do is sit here and contain CD Lamb. So
Yep.
and then the Lions check all those blocks when it comes to their defense. So they're
Yep.
all right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think that one's going to be a blowout. Another South battle in the NFC. We got the Falcons. Kirko Chains taking
Yep.
his game down. Well, taking it up to Carolina. I don't even look. Falcons. Right, it's just Falcons.
I mean, it's an easy W.
Yeah, Falcons. I don't even know.
Falcons on that one. So
Yeah,
I hope they get in some per diem.
Yeah, I don't even
Hey,
have that. I have nothing to say
yeah,
about the
poor
Falcons.
Carolina. You're right, Cliff. Poor
Yeah.
Carolina. They just
Yeah,
can't get it right.
yeah. There's no. Yeah. Will is Cam coming back? Cam. Oh, Cam.
I probably want them to.
They probably need him to.
Mm-hmm. Like, look, man, we would cut a hole in your helmet just so your dreads can hang out if you start.
Right.
You know?
It's just terrible.
Like, what do you
Carolina's
need?
terrible, bro. Yeah, I mean it's terrible. I don't even we'll blow by that. Next up, Sunday night game. So my Giants get to come back and flex a little bit. Right, exactly. This guy Cam. Oh, we get to flex a little muscle on prime time, solo time, Sunday night. We got the Bengalis coming in, and I'm taking my Giants, man. I don't see any. I'm taking my Giants.
That's what I've been. Hey, look, I feel all warm and fuzzy inside now. You know what I'm saying? There we go. That's what the people wanted to hear.
Look, I'm back. I'm back. All right. I'm
Okay.
back. I'm taking my Giants prime time. There's nothing in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow put up some good numbers last week, but again, he's overhyped. I will
Mm-hmm.
say though, now that it seems like T. Higgins has gotten his legs back, it does pose a threat for teams moving forward. But defensively, and we
Yep.
talked about earlier, there's nothing there. There's been nothing in Cincinnati. So I'm rocking. I'm rocking with the Giants. Yeah, I'm back, Cliff. I'm back.
I agree. Until they get that defense together, it's still going to plague them,
Yeah,
and they're just going to continue to come up short.
yeah.
So Giants on that one.
Okay. And to close out the schedule Monday night, we staying in New York. We have the Bills coming downstate. Oh, really? Not even downstate. Coming to Jersey to take on the Jets. This one's going to be interesting, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm gonna go with the Bills. It could go either way, but like you can't sit here and depend on Aaron Rodgers just to chump up net 200 yards and call it a day.
Right.
Um, Offense still has issues. That offensive line has a lot of issues.
Right.
So um, and they won't get it right this year. That's the bad part about it. So I
Right.
feel like that's going to carry over from what we saw this past Sunday. And I think that Josh Allen going to wake up and he's going to get his legs underneath him and become that dual threat and probably go to net 3 touchdowns. So I got the Bills.
So you
2 in the
stole
air,
my
one with his feet.
so you just stole my thunder because that's I was as much as I talk badly about Josh Allen in the beginning, when we started tonight, because he's been, their game as a team has kind of leveled off. But I
Yeah.
think this is a perfect game for them with everything that's already going on with the Jets. And again, we talked about them earlier. Now that the coach has been fired, guys are either going to rally around each other and play inspired ball, but it's just something about this Jets team that I don't see that. I don't
Yeah.
I don't see them as that type of team right now. And I think this sets Buffalo up, like you said, for a great bounce back game. And really, Josh
Mhm.
Allen, I agree with you. I think you're looking at 3 touchdowns, whether it be through the air or some type of combination of air and him rushing. I think this is
Mhm.
the perfect game for Buffalo to bounce back. And I'm with you. I'm taking the Bills in this one. So uh, it looks like an exciting upcoming week of football for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. So there you have it. We are at the end, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, I want to say thank you all. I want to shout out, Riddick Entertainment and Events, for being tonight's show sponsor. I want to shout out Cliff, man. Appreciate you, brother, for joining us. And those of you who have, I see you in the weeds. It's okay. And feel free any other time you want to jump in. You guys are Stephen A. Shannon show. Yeah. Hey, look, from your
Come on,
mouth to God here.
Swagoo.
Right. Come on, man.
Yeah,
We,
come on, Swagoo.
we
Hey, look,
appreciate it.
look. Let's get Cliff up here next week.
Hey, look. Well, I'm going to do that, man. I'm going to for next week's post, man. I'm going to put it out there, man. Anybody who wants to come on and join us and talk a little football, man, we're going to open it up. We'll bring some new perspectives and some new conversation, to come join us, man. Sit here and chop it up. I really appreciate it, man. It's fun each and every week. I get to sit down with my brother Sam, and man, we get to do goofy stuff and talk some ish. You know what I mean? That's what we do. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, before we go, I want to say I'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be back. This will be an Infusion TV and Two Mics Up special. I'm gonna be rocking with the first lady of Infusion TV, Crystal Clark. Name of her show is Moving with Meaning. She's an author, she's a blogger, she's a coach and a podcaster. So, come on through, man, and get yourself ready to moving with meaning. Yeah, Cliff, I'm looking forward to this as well. I'm excited to have Crystal on, man. She really does some great work. She has some really great content. She's been doing this for a while, man, in a lot of different areas. So if you have some free time, come through tomorrow night, hang out with myself and Crystal. Don't forget, Friday we'll be back with Two Mics Up Business Corner, another great business corner coming up, and Monday night back with an all new celebrity interview. So before we go, Sam, man, I won't lie, anything you like to say or share before we get out of here tonight?
I ain't got nothing. It was a glorious day. You know, I'm a Longhorns fan too, so they got the dub as well.
Hey, man.
Speaking of like a good Sunday for football, Saturday is going to be really big too. I mean, you
True.
got Oregon, OSU, you got the Red River rivalry.
Man.
Who else is out there? There's a couple of other big ones out there too. So if you're a college fan, check that stuff out too.
Mhm.
It's going to be jam packed this weekend. So you're in for a treat. A whole weekend full of nothing but glorious football games.
That's a great point, man. We look at Alabama, man, and taking that tumble.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem the same either. Like, if we're gonna be honest, like, I think they have a lot
Right.
of work to do.
Yeah.
Even though in Georgia too, like I don't know what Georgia's doing. The SEC is tough, man.
Well, I
they just want,
mean, the expansion of the SEC messed them up.
yeah, true.
And like, let's be real, the NIL, like that's kicking
True.
everybody in the tail too. So like I think it's spreading out the talent
Mhm.
between the conferences. Like the SEC is still that dominant Power Five.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? But you still got some up and comers and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, look at Indiana undefeated locally here. JMU, well, JMU just took an L, but they're
Right.
5-1. So
That's huge.
UVA is doing good down the street.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of good college football that's going on.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it too, man. Very good point. And man, we gonna wrap it up, but we're gonna come back next week and we're gonna do it all over again. Like we do at the each and end of every show, ladies and gentlemen, man. I want to say once thank you for taking time to share. And if you weren't here in the beginning, you can always go to our YouTube channel, watch the playback. Make sure you'll drop us some comments, show us some love. And like we do at the end of each and every show, ladies and gentlemen, may you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.